Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Dennis from Crypto Planet, also the Crypto Jew on Twitter. And today we're going to be looking into T Food, also known as TFD, if you're going by the ticker. And we're going to look at this old analysis that I did in end of September, September 29th to be exact, where I put out this analysis and I signaled TFD entry. I actually have some TFD myself. I have a very small amount of money invested into this because it's not one of my safest investments, I don't think, but I'll get to why I think it could be. I just think it's a very low cap coin. I'm not going to invest that much into this because food service isn't really that much I know about. Agriculture isn't really something that I really know a lot about. I've heard good things, and TFD looks very bullish in the long term. So let me let you guys know exactly why I have a decent, I wouldn't say small, but like an okay size bag of TFD. I actually have about $140 invested into TFD. I don't think it's a big deal if I say that. And I will short here and there when I see options to grow my bag a bit, but I'm not really going to put in too much more money into this. But we're going to zoom in on this. As you can see, we signaled this at 53 with a target around 88 sats. We have not reached 88 sats yet, but we are in a lot of profit, and we'll get to that when we look at the technicals. But first, we're going to look through this. So TFD is the coin of the TFD platform, which currently has over 6,000 business partners. I assume this grew a lot recently because this was over a month ago that this article was posted. So TFT had broken above the resistance recently, and it had found new support right above that 49 Satoshi resistance. This asset seems very fundamentally and technically strong. The company has served over 100 million people and does over 400,000 operations per day. They are consistently coming out with new partnerships and recently released information about masternodes, which creates incentives to coin holders. And only recently, there's been about 100 masternode signups on their platform, which is really good. And that's what I saw that had something to do with TFT going up a lot. So one concern I did have at the time, I don't have this concern anymore, was that TFC was listed as ST, which means they have the potential to be delisted. And Kucoin was basically investigating the project at the moment at the time, and if there was any issues, the project will be delisted. Um, Currently, that wasn't delisted. They took away the ST a thing that they had it identified as. And I did write here that I did find it very unlikely that the project will be delisted because of everything that they have going on. And I thought maybe KuCoin was just trying to keep the price low, and they weren't really able to do that for long, as people were still buying even with that with the ST. So in the case that they are delisted, I gave the option of trading on smaller exchanges like DDEX and IDEX. So KuCoin didn't do that, so that's really good news. So now let's take a look at the charts. All right, so now I'm at TFD BTC on KuCoin. Actually, this is from Caprica. And as you can see over here, our entry point was right over here, 53 sats. We're currently at 25% profit, and I do see the possibility of us retracing now. So there could be a signal for group chat members to take profits. I'm going to be posting this in the group chat as well. So it's up to people what they decide to do. Long term, I still expect it to do fantastic. But if you want to take some profits now, it's definitely a good time to. You could probably get into a coin that is down some more and hasn't pumped yet. But as you can see, we're up 24% here. At some point at the peak, we were at about 37% profit, 30, actually 38 about. And if you had gotten in much lower at the double bottom over here, you would have been up about 213% total. So it seems very likely to me that this is going to have some sort of retracement now. I don't know how much exactly, but I will be updating in the group chat about that. And you guys should definitely check that out. Join down the link below because I will be giving a re-entry signal as well. And I may even post what I'm going to invest in the time being if I decide to take my money out of here for now. So let's look at some other indicators on this chart. So over here, we have Ichimoku break, and we failed over here to break originally, and then we came down over here, found support over here, and then we found support here again. So over there, we had another double bottom. And that held. So this may even be another entry zone at some point because of the strong support that we have there. Maybe we'll create a triple bottom. Then we had to break up. We actually broke out of this Ichimoku cloud over here, and we have continued upwards. So that looks like a pretty good sign to me. If we retrace, we may not even retrace that much. I would say there's definitely a strong support in this zone as well. This entire zone over here. I would say I could definitely see that as a strong support, but I'd say on the occasion that we fail to hold this, we probably go down to this zone over here in this area. But either way, not that much of a decrease. Only thing is, if we go down to this zone, we're not in profit anymore. We're actually in a loss. And over here, if we go back to here, we're not really making that much profit. We could be breaking even almost. We could be coming down to this Ichimoku Cloud support. We'll have to wait and see. Make sure to join the chat and stay updated on that. Also, MACD looks a bit bearish over here. We can see a bearish divergence on the MACD right about here. And that could, of course, lead to this crossing over and confirming the bearish divergence. Just want to extend the line. Okay, never mind. Let's take a look at some other indicators on this chart. So also RSI was originally, at its peak, it was at 72. It was a bit oversold over there, and we have seen price come down from there. And we see that bearish divergence as well, potentially. This is a bearish divergence. This can also be a bearish divergence. But I've even seen prices continue to go up even if there are bearish divergences. So this is not a guarantee that I'm going to sell, especially since this ultimate oscillator did not go above 70. Once I see a rise above 70 with a fall underneath, especially with a strong fall, I usually consider that time to sell. But I don't see that yet on here on the daily chart, so that's a good sign. Now, if we remove all of these, we should do some supports and resistances and then look at the weekly chart as well. So now on the weekly chart, I can see that this looks like a pretty bullish pattern. It may not actually be a falling wedge, but in my opinion, this looks very strong, as a falling wedge will usually look exactly like this with the triangle getting tighter and tighter as you go down. You'll usually see like it'll be like in waves kind of, but it may go down to here first, and then it'll come down to here, and then it'll come down to here, and then it'll break out. But this is also very possible that it just happened to not really go that far down, and it kind of just skipped coming down to this lower resistance. It could have also just been like this, starting here maybe, doing something like that, and then even coming out to here and just breaking out upwards. So any of that is possible. And we'd also see an inverse head and shoulders after we've had this breakout, which seems like a very bullish sign to me. And this is on the weekly chart. So that's a very good sign to see on a very long-term chart, because that signifies that it's very highly likely that this is going to break out upwards and that this will be considered bullish for a long period of time. Because like if you see it on a 30-minute chart, you know it's going to be bullish for a short period of time. It depends on the time frames. And I can go there like that. And yep, perfect. Breakout. And let's take a look at the indicators. All right, so first looking at the ultimate oscillator, we can see the price came all the way down to 35 at some point in the ultimate oscillator, and right now we're above a very important resistance, which is the 50. And we haven't at any point gone above the 70, which long term is a very good sign. It gives us a lot of room to grow on here, a lot of possibility of influx of cash or Bitcoin into this asset. As long as we don't go above here in the short term, which we definitely won't based off the weekly chart, we're in business. So let's take a look at the chart and take a look at something else interesting that I noticed with price and the ultimate oscillator. So I have this support slash resistance set up on the 50. And as you can see, whenever we are above the 50, we're doing very well. So we climbed all the way up over here when we were above the 50. We broke above it over here, and then we flew. That was from about, wow, that's really cheap, about 25 all the way to about 60-ish, 61. So decent climb. And then over here, whenever you're under the 50, you have a decent dump. So as you can see, we broke under the 50 right around this zone, like right around there. We started going under, and then we made it all the way back down lower than where we started. And then we eventually broke up again above the 50, and we climbed. And this was a fake out. As you could see, we had a bearish divergence right over here. I'll draw that out for you guys who still haven't really learned that much about that. That's a bearish divergence, failure to breach that resistance. You see that on this chart as well. You see the bearish divergence just like you saw on there. And then you see we claim under again. We came under the 50 here when we were already dumping. Then we made it all the way down to this zone. So we dumped a lot. We dumped even earlier. We dumped even more than where we started, like over here. And then we rose again, got above 50, price climbed, failed again, came all the way down, and now we broke this resistance. we broke what is a bearish divergence. We're now above this. We have the inverse head and shoulders. We have a breakout above 50 on the weekly chart. So I may not even take profit right now. This just seems, like a good time to just let this run and try and make 10 times my money and see what happens. That seems like a really good idea to me. So yeah, I think that looks fantastic. Now if you look at this wedge on an earlier time frame as well, like the 1 day chart, this just looks really good. Right now we're under the 50 here, so we may continue to retrace a bit, but I would say not for long, and we won't really retrace that much. I'll try and zoom out. In my opinion, that looks fantastic. This really lines up well, and this is a clear break of that. So let's do some supports and resistances real quick too. All right, so I just did this support and resistances, these support and resistances, and I put this another falling wedge that I see here that is actually better than the original one in my opinion, where we can see that we've been in this falling wedge since September of 2018, and we have found resistance here, found support here, and now we have found resistance. Well, we had found resistance here, which we broke out very easily, and now we have support on this support line that I drew at about 42 sats. So we kind of retested the support on this wedge over here. I wouldn't see us falling lower than this again. But if we do, that would mean that we're probably going even lower, especially if we don't hold the support here. I find that highly unlikely. I find it more likely that we will follow how this pattern typically moves, and we'll see a move somewhere out of here, probably a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern of Elliott wave. Oops, wrong one. Excuse me. We'll probably see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave pattern, move something like this. And we may end up in this zone finishing. We may even finish the third wave up in this zone and have the fifth wave go to this resistance up here. But I definitely see this as being a good profit area. Either this is the third wave completing or the fourth wave completing. So I would like to see that happen. I think that is where usually you'll have a falling wedge breakout too, just like how if you would have the opposite, a rising wedge, you're usually going to test where it begins. So this, the top of this where it begins is up here. So that's why I selected this area, and let's see how much profit percentage that could possibly be. So if you're entering now at 66, which I definitely would recommend, we're waiting for some sort of retracement since we already climbed 200 something percent in total, you could expect up to 350% profit, in my opinion, about 300 to 350. Now, if you entered at our position opening at about 53, you can definitely see 396% profit over here and up to 465% profit over here. So obviously those are really great gains. You guys should definitely keep up with us on this trade and where we're taking profit on this ride up and what we're doing after this ride up. We definitely want to take some profits on the ride up in order to find areas that price is going to retrace slightly because crypto is very volatile. You can probably find zones in here where the price retraces 3, 5, 10, 15% even, and re-enter after that happens in order to keep increasing our bags on the way up in order to increase our profit as much as possible. So join the group chat, become a member on the site today. We also post premium content there for free for members. You guys don't want to miss that as well. So definitely head over to the site as well. Everything is in a link down below. Take care, guys. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.